said it. Welcome back to the Marathon Mortgage Happy Hour. I'm Mike Witczak.
I'm Rory Farrell.
And who's the special guest in the middle today?
So my name is Martino Picariello with Keller Williams.
Awesome.
Very cool. Welcome.
Yeah.
It's always good to have guests on. We always have a little bit more traction, and it's just more interesting than me and Mike talking at each other.
For sure. And you could
figure out this mic's gonna be fun, but
you could
you pick it up.
Yeah, you could pick it up.
Yeah.
And then you could fold these down if you want, like this. I'll fold it down and hold them like flowers at times, you know?
Yeah, as long as it's close, you're good.
Yeah. So.
I love flowers. My mom actually this weekend got her a big bushel. The smile on her face.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Priceless. Hope everyone had a good Mother's Day.
For sure. Shout out all the moms.
Yes.
I didn't see my mom on Mother's Day.
Oh, geez, dude. You're down the shore.
I just dropped my kid off with her today. I think I forgot to say Happy Mother's Day. I was like, here's my kid. I'll pick him up in 8 hours.
That's great.
All right, cool. So you gave him a little bit of the rundown. So typically what we do is we start with the beer. I hope you're okay with that.
More than fine.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So I'm a big beer guy. This actually started when we started the podcast. Mike didn't know anything about beer, so each week he's gotten an education on beer as we do our education on mortgages. So you've probably tried 10 times the amount of beers in the past year than you have.
Dude, I think I had like 3 different types of beers before I came on here. It was like Bud Light, Corona, and maybe like a PBR if I had to,
just
do
like
that.
The country concert beers.
For sure. I grew up in like the Poconos.
In the country.
Yeah, in the country. So it was a lot of cheap beers.
I will say this smells amazing off the jump.
Yeah, well,
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That leads me right into this description. So this is from Pipeworks. Pipeworks is from Chicago. They did this one with cryo hops. So he thinks I'm a nerd about it, but Citra is my favorite hop, and there's different versions of hops. And cryo basically takes all the lupulin, which is like kind of like the oil.
you're such a Cryo's my favorite hop, or Citra's my favorite hop.
Yeah, you know that about me.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lesson here too. I feel like I should have brought my notepad.
So cryo, basically what they do is they extract the most amount of lupulin, which is like the oil that makes the flavor, into this hop. So they can basically add a bunch of flavor and aroma to it without having to add all the astringent parts of the hop. So it's just a more efficient way to deliver the flavors and the aromas. So like you said, as soon as you open up that can, you can smell it. And that's what cryo hops do. So cheers. This is a pale ale, I think 4.9%. So
Cheers, dude.
Cheers, fellas. Thanks for having me. And thanks for the beer.
Of course. Yeah, 4.9%.
Pipeworks.
Thank you, Pipeworks.
Chicago.
Out of Chicago. All right, nice. Not so local, huh?
It's craft, though.
Craft
there's only so many beers, and we're on our 70th episode.
Yeah, dude.
That is tasty.
Yeah, nice and smooth. Got a nice hop characters. Not too bitter or astringent, but definitely has a lot of that aroma on the nose.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I guess we'll get into the reason we're all here. So I guess, Martino, let's start off with where are you from? How'd you get into real estate? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and all that?
Absolutely. So first off, born in Philadelphia. Currently reside in Philadelphia. I'm in South Philadelphia. Kind of got into the business through my father. He owned a bunch of properties growing up, and I didn't realize until I was around 12 years old. When I was in ice hockey full time, I was, kind of doing things that most kids my age couldn't really do. And I was like, Dad, how do we afford all this? He's like, son, I invested in real estate. And immediately from there, went to college with a real estate minor. So a real estate lens focused on business and entrepreneurship, which, if you look at any real estate agent, you need to have all 3 of those things in the bag. You need to know how to run your business. You need to know how to connect with people. And you need to know how to motivate yourself every single day, which entrepreneurs seem to be continuously doing, guys like yourself. So I really give you guys credit as well. Even though we're in a little bit different spaces, we have the same mentality.
There's a lot of crossover for sure.
Tons.
The successful ones have a lot of crossover.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's definitely common patterns that you see amongst all the people in the business that have been doing it at a high level for a long period of time.
Yeah. And there's a lot. It's like the follow-up game, the meeting with different people, staying in front of your clients, staying in front of your real. It's a ton of crossover in our industry.
Yeah, being creative with outlets like podcast, Instagram, mailers, door-to-door knocking, things like that. It's all,
Yeah,
we do a lot of the same things in our industry.
No, definitely. And I think once you master your things that make you, like the podcast, I think is so authentic. You can connect with people who enjoy beer. And when you're speaking about, I was even thinking about, I'm like, man, if I was someone just interested in beer, I'd be listening to this podcast.
That's how we hook people in for the first couple of minutes. That's the whole point.
You get the beer lovers, and then it's like, oh, and I do like real estate too.
Yeah.
But dude, you attract your type of people, which is always always the goal, because you can work with so many different people in this business, from people who are first-time home buyers to people developing 250 units in Fishtown or the suburbs. So it's all about, and I always tell new agents getting into the business, it's like, think about who you want to work with first, and then the how will just reveal itself to you.
Yeah,
sure.
Don't think about what do I do, and then go from there, because the answer is going to be infinite. You can do so many things, like you just ripped off mailers, this, that. But if you want to attract the right people, you'll know exactly what to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was like a big thing when I started doing this was, hey, how do I get with realtors that are, around my age, or people that I would like to work with? So it's like, once you find people you like to work with, everything kind of just flows smoothly from there. It's like, you just get a process going, and then they introduce you to other people who are just like them. We're in these networking groups where we have a lot of people who are like-minded, and just helps. It kind of helps the whole process flow. So
100%.
Yeah.
And that's a note for anyone watching. It's like, figure out where you want to go in your business, like who you want to work with, and everything else will really flow from there.
Yeah, definitely. Did you want to say something? I thought I was cutting you off there.
Well, I had a couple things, but yeah, I mean, not only your partners, your realtor partners, lender partners, so on and so forth, but those people tend to bring in the clients that you also want to work with, and the clients that you get along with and can vibe with and create long-term relationships with. So you're not just buying the first property, you're helping them work on their investment portfolio.
Yeah, and I said that just before, like exactly like you said, if you want to do it at a high level for a long period of time, that's referrals is like the number one way to do that. And I could not imagine cold calling until I'm 45, 50 years old.
Yeah.
Like, X me now if that's really going to happen.
Yeah.
So building that referral business, man, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Is the best way to enjoy your life.
For sure. And then so you're pretty young. You said you were born, what year were you born? 97?
1997. There's some people that have been in this building that we're currently filming this in longer than I've been alive. So I hope that just puts a little perspective on where I'm at in terms of just I don't want to say just starting on this path, because I've been in real estate since I was 18.
Okay.
I'm 26.
Yeah.
Turning 27 next month, June 26th. So I was 26 on the 26th. This was my golden year, so now it's downhill from here. But it truly was like an inflection year for me. Like, I don't want to say golden year. It sounds super weird. But it was definitely an inflection year for me. I definitely learned a lot about who I was, where I wanted to be, and started asking those right questions like we just mentioned, So definitely still young, but I think it's a great age right now for myself, with the people I'm surrounded by, the experience I have around me. My who showed up and they helped me out. Great.
Yeah.
I got 2 who's right next to me
but you're always building who's, right?
Right. It's amazing. And I think that is my favorite part of this business.
No, that's killer. Yeah. And I mean, it's not even to say you're new. You got 7-8 years under your belt now. I mean, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Time flies.
So,
and what's interesting too, at your age, or both of you guys are young, like once you get that experience, you're also in like a different part of the industry, both technology, like all these outlets to different ways of getting in front of people that I was not in when I was that many years in, and that was only a couple years ago. So it's like you have so much knowledge about this stuff that I just don't have, and I have to learn to catch up.
Yeah,
so what knowledge that I've gained in the years that I've had before you, is essentially offset by you being able to get in front of.
And you're talking about like the social media and stuff,
social
right?
media and stuff. Yeah, I mean, like you can get in front of so many more people than I ever could by door knocking real estate offices.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
heard that was effective though at some point.
Yeah, when people used to be in offices.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was
Right.
like when I first started here, Tom would always say to me, he's like, "Why don't you go out to offices?" I'm like, "Tom, I've been to 40 offices in the past 2 months, and there's not a single person there, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do?"
It's true. How old are you?
I'm 25. I just turned 25 in March. Yeah.
We're in the same range. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, you hear stories like when I first got in the business, that was my advice: sit open houses and door knock. And
Yeah.
guess what? I did those things for a year. I never closed one lead from an open house, never closed one lead from a door knock.
Nope.
And I immediately started seeing results in this field, like the social media aspect, because
Yeah.
times do change that quick.
Yeah, for sure.
enough.
I've 100% gotten more referrals from my social media than I have door knocking or going out to offices.
Yeah.
I can attest to that too.
Yeah.
So any new agents, lenders, whatever you're doing, like you just said, use the new up and coming technology. It's a benefit to be young sometimes because you know it. It's not always an experience, just a benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Pros and cons.
You just got to spin it.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
It's got to be a
Yeah.
good salesperson.
yeah.
No, but there definitely is. So I did have a question, though, kind of to piggyback on what you had mentioned about your father saying, hey, we can afford all these things because of my real estate portfolio. did he talk about the downsides? Did he talk about the struggles, or was he just like, hey, this is awesome, go, go, go? Or did you see any of that? Did you see him like running into tenant issues or?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo, bingo, bango.
I mean, I hate to say that there's downsides to it too, because, there are, most of the sides are good up because you wouldn't do it if there was all downsides, but
Right.
it's a people person or a people business. So you're going to run into
People.
100, literally 100%. That's a great question, honestly, because people do mainly talk about the upside of real estate when there are absolute cons and drawbacks. Like if you don't at least know how to manage it correctly, which I'll be completely honest. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching, you didn't know how to manage it correctly. you didn't.
He's a big fan of our podcast too. So
yeah. Turn it off now. I'm about to rip you apart. No, I'm kidding. But tenant issues were the number one thing. Like, we're sitting around the table Saturday night doing dinner at home and flood, didn't have a property manager, flood in the basement, didn't have property manager on call, didn't trust people, didn't want to pay them, which is, I think, a big thing in real estate we can probably dive into for 30 minutes alone.
Oh yeah.
Like your time is worth so much more than probably what you're paying this property manager for.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall, I think I saw a lot of drawbacks, which was great because I wasn't super, I don't want to say naive, but I wasn't like green, by the time I got in real estate, because I picked his brain so much. I always wanted to know things. And then when I went to school and learned the investment side of it, cap rates, industrial buildings being converted, adaptive reuse, how that works, and I could dive into it. I remember coming home and being like, Dad, move over.
Yeah.
I got you, like, let me handle this shit. Excuse my language. Let me handle this shit for you, though. Because at the end of the day, you sent me to school for a reason. You put this money into me, the passive income you got from real estate into me, the real estate knowledge flowed into my brain and into my body. Now let me just juice it through you again.
I'm sure he didn't like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Telling him to move over.
He hasn't fully yet, but he's definitely been, allowing me to help him, which has been really fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he's appreciating it. Now it's come full circle for him. And
no, that's killer. That's got me and my dad have a very similar situation. Like with I have two rental properties right now, and it's like when I got them, he never did rental properties, but he was a carpenter in the Philly Union for 25 years. So like when I got these places and we were redoing them, it was like a bonding. Like he'd come over, he'd show me what to do, and he'd be like, "All right, dude, now you take it from here. Like have fun, go do what you got to do." So it's been like a bonding experience almost. But with the property management side of things, that shit is so worth the money. It's insane. One unit that I have is under property management. It's like a row home up where I'm from. I don't hear anything. I get a direct deposit once a month. And
where's the property located?
It's in like the name of the town's Lansford, Pennsylvania, but it's like outside of Jim Thorpe. It's probably 15 minutes from Jim Thorpe.
I'm very familiar with Jim Thorpe.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up. And then the other one, which is like 4 doors down from that place, needed a lot of like work, but I have 2 tenants in it. So it was like working on that. You can't get a property management company, all this stuff. So then finally, after like a year of people calling me at 2 a.m. and all this stuff, I think I have it to the point where like in the next couple months, I might be shifting it over to a property management company, but it's like, it's so worth it.
Well, especially for you.
Oh, yeah.
God, if you have to drive there, it's an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Hour and a half the other. Just to do a 10-minute thing, maybe.
Yeah. And my dad's the guy that like, oversees it for me while I'm not there, and he'll go collect rents and do, fix problems, meet with the contractors, all that stuff, which is a blessing in its own. But it's like, to an extent, he's like, I don't want to do this. First off, he's like, I'm not good at doing this stuff. I don't want to deal with people. Like, if you need renovations in a house done, yeah, fine. Like, I'll come and help you out. But it's like, I'm not managing properties for you. So
something tells me he's pretty good at collecting money.
He's an interesting character. Yeah.
I think if he shows up at your door, you're not gonna be like,
no. My dad. Yeah, that's a whole podcast we could do on my father. But
we should have him on.
Yeah, yeah, that would not be good.
It's a dad episode.
That would be an unreleased
for
episode.
sure. For sure. Oh yeah, that. Be interesting. But anyway, yes, property management companies are well worth the money.
Yeah. No, for sure. And you only learn through experience in this business. I can't reiterate that enough, but also you can lean on people with experience to teach you those lessons, which is why, you have professionals in the business, and they're worth every penny once you realize it, but sometimes you have to make your own mistakes. That's life.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
That's life. That's business. But it's good that our fathers are at least, willing to change.
Exactly. Willing to help out and do that stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Can't say the same for everybody, but at least our fathers are doing their part. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So I hope you got through that segment.
Yeah. Happy upcoming Father's Day. How about that? There you go.
Cheers to them. Hey.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
Without
Cheers,
those
dude.
guys and those gals, we
So
wouldn't be here.
Is he still in it then, it sounds like?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually looking to invest in Florida now, and finally, yeah, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
That's why I bring two when we have guests.
Smart man. But yeah, he's investing now, looking for a place in Florida. It's crazy how this baby boomer generation really made out. You know, with the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, their properties doubled and tripled and 4x'd in some cases just in these past 6 years. So wow, you know, what are you going to do with that equity? You know, he's like, I'm not just going to let it sit there. And he would have if I didn't go to college and teach him about equity. So cheers, Joe.
And now you got a place to go to in Florida. You will soon, hopefully.
Correct. Hopefully soon. But, you know, as you guys, we just talked about a little downstairs, the markets in some neighborhoods and some suburban neighborhoods, there's a lack of supply leading to crazy bidding wars. So he's in the weeds. He's looking for his moment. And it's been about 1.5 years we've been talking about it. So I'm hoping now that these interest rates have kind of come up, buyers have been a little more scared off. And a guy like that who has cash, this goes for anyone who has cash or equity right now they're sitting on. It's like, time to move. You know, like this isn't going to last forever. No one has a crystal ball, but it's a good period, I think, in the market, to be honest, if you're set up the right way.
Correct. Yeah. I definitely think if you're able to waive a mortgage contingency going in a full cash offer, like you have a lot more of an upper hand than somebody that's going in with contingencies, or they have to get a mortgage and they're only putting 5% down and they're worried about like an appraisal gap. If you go in and you're like, yeah, I got $500,000 in cash, and they're like, yeah, perfect, I'll take that. You know,
this is right on the water, all the amenities. Here you go, sir. There's a butler if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting the red carpet rolled out for you.
Exactly.
You have cash. Yeah.
So is this strictly an investment, do you think, down there for him, or is he going to be using it, you know, in the winter months, or going to let you use it for a couple weekends out of the year?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think the game plan originally was to Airbnb it. And then whenever he wanted to go down, you know, pick the week out, which I think is like, if you're watching, I think that's probably what most people here are doing. But now he's like looking at tax benefits because there's no tax in Florida. So maybe putting in his personal name. So we have to kind of look into that a little bit more, but that's a good question. I think we're looking investment always. I mean, at the end of the day, even if it's for personal use, real estate's always a great investment. So,
yeah, sure.
Nice.
But we'll see if we're going to Airbnb it or not. I'm kind of curious what we can get for it for a night down there in Boca, or I think we're looking Del Rey area, maybe not Pompano. What's the one short town? It's like Boca, Del Rey, West Palm Beach.
Yeah, Jupiter. West Palm Beach. Yeah. My buddy's grandparents, we used to go down to his place all the time in Jupiter. It's a great place. But
amazing.
Yeah, anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about too was you're with Keller Williams and Power in the city, and you kind of touched on this a little bit ago. I wanted to circle back to it where you had said, you know, we talked about it before, you're like half residential, half commercial. Do you do commercial deals too, right?
Absolutely. That's kind of my main focus right now. Yeah. But I still obviously have so many friends in the residential space. So I do a healthy mix.
And nice. Okay. So then, and you were saying before, you're like, hey, look, this year was really a year where you kind of were able to figure out what your goals were, what you wanted to accomplish in this industry, and like where you wanted to be in the future. Like, what does that look like for you? Kind of what did you figure out in there?
That's a really good question. Because I'm still partially trying to get more and more specific every day. And I just had a great call with my coach this morning on that, because, you know, he's talking, he's like, who's your main client? I'm like, I literally help people who need like a commercial lease, you know, like maybe I'm working right now with a preschool teacher who wants to open up her own pre-K in South Jersey. So working with her. And then you also have land developers who want 100 units shovel ready to go. So it's like, especially in commercial, there's so many things you can do. Residential is like almost just like a thing that kind of keeps me flowing. It allows me to attack those bigger deals. So I don't want to ever turn that off until I'm officially stabilized. But to answer your question, where I see myself going would be sourcing land deals and potentially partnering up with people. Because I don't think you really make serious money in this business through commissions. You make them through investing yourself and partnering up with people, finding great connections, relationship capital, as I refer to it as. People who can actually do the shit. You know, people talk. But when you come across that one person you had a conversation with and they can actually do things and get you involved, that's the goal. So yeah, I'd say I want to source land development deals, help lease them or sell them, or lease them and then sell them down the line, and do it myself as well, partner in. Instead of taking a 3% commission or a 4% commission, take a 5% equity position in some of these deals throughout the city, throughout the suburbs, and yeah, that's kind of where I see myself in more development.
Yeah, that's killer, man. I don't think a lot of people look at it that way, but I mean, if you can obviously can't do it on somebody's primary residency, but it's like when you get into commercial, yeah, you're like, give me 15% equity of your property. But on commercial deals, if you're saying, hey, look, I'll do all this work, blah, 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 but cut me in on the equity on it, I mean, that's killer. And it's like if you do 10, 15 deals and you're cutting in all this equity with a bunch of different investors in the city, I mean, that's awesome. Is that a common thing that happens with commercial? Or I wouldn't say common, but is it something that you can figure out with people or they'll let you do?
Certainly. And with, if anything, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago with the 3-4% interest rates, people didn't need equity partners as much. But now the financing is so tight, you guys know better than I do. Financing is so tight in the commercial sector. Large multifamily is down big time, like 80%. Like, it's such an anemic market right now where people are looking to get creative. Yeah. So I'm taking full advantage. I'm always trying to find opportunities where, that's an option for me. Absolutely. But it's definitely not common. I would definitely say it's not common because people need to pay the bills. People need their commission. People need it now. But if you can really be patient and wait and understand a dividend's going to come in 2 years once this property is stabilized and rented out, and you can just get just a piece of the pie is always what I say, just a little piece of the pie. It adds up if there's 15 or 20 pies.
Yeah, for sure.
In front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you can do that at your guys' age where you're young, your overhead's pretty low, you don't have kids in daycare, it's $5,000 a month. Like, if you could put off that income for a couple of years when you might have a wife, you might have kids, you might have a couple mortgages, like all of a sudden when you need it the most, that money's starting to trickle in and compounding. Whereas, if you're doing it now, you're like, hey, I'll sit on it for a little bit. I'll eat ramen. Yeah,
I don't care, dude. Couple scoops of peanut butter, we're good.
Exactly.
A little drizzle of honey on there for you, Michael.
That's it, baby. That's it.
We were just having this conversation yesterday.
Yeah, I was telling him about my Costco haul the other day. And I'm like, I could eat for 3 months now. I'm cool. I'll live for the next 3 months.
Costco keeps the cost low.
Oh, dude. That's I like that.
Yep. Hey,
I like that.
I took that from a movie. Ben Stiller, I think, said that. But
yeah, I've definitely heard that. What's that from?
I have no idea.
Might be a stand-up comedian who said that.
Comment below.
Yeah. Hey, so please help us out here. We're struggling. But that's such a good point, man. That's such a good point. Like, we have the luxury. We really.
Oh yeah.
Anyone watching that's like under the age of 30, if you don't have any major responsibilities, take chances. Like, really.
Yeah.
You don't need the money now. What are you gonna put that money towards? And really ask yourself that, because it's like probably video games and, you know what I mean, a vacation to Florida that you can do 100 times if you just make the right play now.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if you're not gonna do that, travel.
Well,
my other big thing when I was younger, I was so glad.
I was gonna say that's where my money is going. Unfortunately, this year, I've been booking a lot of trips because of traveling. But
I respect.
I also like I kind of watch what I'm doing.
Better than video games.
Yeah, it's better.
Way better.
I do like video games, but I have a very hard time buying them anymore. I don't buy video games anymore. But no, yeah, I'm a huge believer in like sacrifice today so that tomorrow could be a lot better. So taking risks on buying these properties and doing all that. The way I look at it is like, if I buy this house and I put money into it, it's like worst case scenario. Number one, like I could always sell it, but number two is like, so what if it's all my savings that I have right now? If it goes sideways and I have to sell it? Like, okay, so what? Like I sold it, I got my money back. It's fine. Like just keep moving on and making calculated investments instead of. I'm a huge car guy. I love cars. I love, I would love to have a Mercedes or something crazy out there. And could I do that? Could I go get approved for a $700 a month loan right now? Yeah, sure. But why would I be spending $700 a month on a car when I don't need to do that? It's just stupid. So I'd rather, I'm a very, very big believer in do it now while I can.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
For sure.
Well said, too. Very
It's
well
all
said.
downhill after this, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Let's keep drinking.
You're old ass, dude. My God. You're letting dead air on the pod, dude. Go talk.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
I thought we were
We're both sipping.
Sometimes everyone needs a breather, even the audience.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed that because that's the last of it.
That's it. It's over now. So also we had our initial phone call. We met through a networking group that we do. I guess it's not like in the city. I guess it's Jersey and PA, but it's called the Harvest Community. Shout out Devin. Actually going to Devin.
Shout out Devin.
There you go. Shout out Devin.
Period. Nah. There's definitely a story. I think we talked about yours first. Was it a friend who referred you in the group?
Yeah. So like another networking group I was going to, a friend was a part of this group. And he's like, hey, why don't you come on and join? Devin's awesome. And so I went ahead and did that. We're actually going to his office tomorrow.
Amazing.
We're shooting a couple pods. Devin, I tried getting Devin on. He's like, I'm going to check my schedule. I'll let you know. And then we're interviewing Tom, another guy. I don't know if he's in the group chat too, but he's a realtor over there.
Okay. Yeah. There's a few, and
yeah. TCS is a pretty solid group. Yeah.
They're all solid. I agree.
Yeah.
Just good dudes. Great head on their shoulders, and it probably attests to the group and the community being so accountable.
Yeah. And then that's how we originally met. Devin gave me your phone number, and he's like, yeah, give him a call. He'd be great on the podcast, all this stuff. So I was like, cool. So I reached out to you, and I had asked you, I was like, are you Spanish or Italian? Like, where? And then you said are you Irish? Is that no, you just busted my balls.
Let's let the audience decide. Martino Giuseppe Picariello.
Yeah, okay.
The third.
There it is. All right.
There's a couple of you running around.
Grandparents, yes, there's too many. My grandparents were fresh off the boat, I guess is the term that they always say, from Naples, Italy. And I think I might have like a little bit of Lebanese in me from my mom's side, her grandma.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mom, her family's from Atlantic City. My dad, his family settled in Philadelphia quickly. And like 100% Italian to answer
Do you speak any?
No. I was trying to think of very little.
Damn it, dude.
I can't even come up with that. I know ciao, bella, and mangia, which
That's
is
it.
eat. Those are the three main things that I was told growing up. I was beautiful, hello, goodbye, and please eat.
Yeah.
Eat. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, cool. I always have to ask though. I'm like,
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I speak a lot more Spanish than I do Italian, but my uncle's from Florence. So so my uncle, growing up, I wish I was around him more to speak it with him, but then while learning Spanish, I started learning Italian too. So when I go over there, my cousins are like, you sound like somebody from Spain trying to speak Italian. Like, it's just awful. But I wanted to ask you. A
little bit of a mountain accent as well.
Yeah,
like Jim Thorpe accent, just sneaking in there.
Yeah, for sure. But I wanted to touch on that because I was so confused, dude. When we were on the phone, it's so hard to get a read on people when you don't see their face sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm Irish. I'm like, you're fucking Irish? I was like, what are you talking about? You're Irish.
No, I wanted to leave this too for the pod. I was like, it'd be a good surprise.
That's perfect.
But for most of my icebreakers, that's the joke. They'll be like, oh, what's your name? Thanks for reaching out. I'll send out my information. My name's Martino Picariello. Very Irish, and like 9 out of 10 will laugh, and there's always the one.
Yeah, me.
There's always the one, and you were the one.
Yeah, I was it.
You're special, man.
Sorry,
You're
dude.
special.
Yeah, I'm a little special for sure.
Nah, man, it's definitely just the icebreaker go-to joke.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, killer, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other question? Anything you want to touch on?
First started literally the whole point of this was, do you listen to podcasts? Are you a podcast guy?
Yeah, Bigger Pockets and Better Life with Brandon Turner now since he left.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
These are all like financial nerd podcasts.
A little nerdier than what I listen to. I listen to a bunch of comedy podcasts, but most of the podcasts that I listen to are like a couple of guys sitting around a couch, having a beer, smoking a joint, having if the cameras weren't on, they'd be doing the same exact thing.
Yeah,
and that's like you get to know these people. It's like you listen to it for an hour a week, you're like, oh yeah, like you know about everything.
Yeah, it's just people being people. You know what I mean? Like if we were up here and we're like, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the chat. I'd be like, dude, shut this shit off. I don't want to listen to this guy talk.
Couple, what do you call them? Sound effects in there?
Yeah. You know, like the. Oh wait.
Oh, it's not working.
There you go. So like something like that. Like it's just it's so whack. But
we've said this on the pod. It doesn't need to be part of it, but you guys get to, especially as buyers agents and really sell side listing agents, you get to meet your clients a lot. Face to face. You're going through their house. You're taking them to houses. We don't meet anybody until the day of settlement, and a lot of lenders don't even show up. So it's like you may not meet your person face to face ever.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to build a relationship when we're not able to get in front of people is a lot tougher to do. So
for sure,
the whole point was have people get to know us and talk at people for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
That's an incredible point. I actually never even thought about that, to be honest. It's very true. Like, you guys probably see each other on settlement day, and you're like the hero.
Yeah. It's like, the hero. Yeah. No, definitely. I think, at least with our company, that's how it tends to be most of the time. And it's like, it's a nice feeling to go meet the people. We always try and look at it from like a real perspective too, because we deal a lot with people shopping us, people trying to go to other places to get a better deal. And I'd say like 9 out of 10 times they end up coming back because we do have very, very competitive deals, but it's tougher when a realtor loses somebody than we lose somebody, because we don't have like that physical personal connection, whereas like a realtor is going out and showing them 20 homes.
The time spent,
everything.
more on you guys than it is on us.
It's
not
crazy.
That we don't spend time, but like you're physically going out and showing people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah,
But I mean, our clientele is a lot of young people who, in this market, it's their first house. They don't have a lot of equity, like money to put up. They don't have, their margins are really thin.
Yeah.
So like the difference in an eighth is a huge deal.
Huge.
Whereas Tom's clients, who's been in it for 20, 30 years, like his clients are like, oh yeah, like I trust you. I value your
That eighth.
service versus that extra eighth of a percentage.
Right.
So
And I think
do a lot of shopping.
that goes in. I totally agree. And it goes into like what I was saying before. It's like once you realize the value of good people, the money, it doesn't even equal. Like it always makes way more sense to work with the right people and spend the extra little 8%. Where if you're nickeling and diming or eighthing and diming, it's you're gonna have a really rough experience in real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. And so I have like a lot of realtors who are younger too that I work with, and there's a kid in particular, shout out Aldo, but he's in the city. He does like a ton of, like lower purchase price homes, probably like 100,000-200,000 range. And when he works with me, he's like, dude, thanks so much. Like, it's always great working with you. Like, we're clear to close, we're at the table, all this stuff. And then he'll call me and he'll be like, yeah, I'm at the table and they're saying they're going to have to push settlement and all this stuff. And I'm like, what lender are you, like, what's going on, dude? Like, tell me what's happening. And then I have to like walk them through. And I'm like, this is why I like stop, like just taking these approvals from these other people. Like, let me talk to these guys and see if I can help them out.
Especially at that price point, the difference in an eighth or a quarter is
It means
$14
nothing.
a month.
Yeah, it means nothing.
like it's different on a $500,000 loan amount.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's very important to have those relationships and just somebody you can trust and work with. It's crazy.
I 100% agree. That's so valid. And I don't know Aldo, but I know the position he's been in.
Yeah.
And I think once you've been through that enough on my side, there is a point, like I hit this year, that inflection point, that golden year.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, I'm worth more than this, and it's not even like that. It's not like an ego thing or like a significance thing, because oftentimes that's what a lot of agents I talk to want, and that's what they crave, significance and ego.
Yeah.
Which, shout out all you guys, you suck.
Would you like to say any names?
Yeah.
No.
Go right ahead.
I love you all. Please keep taking my offers.
Yeah.
No matter how low. But in all those positions there, when I am meeting a buyer for the first time, a key to success that I found is being more certain than they are.
Yeah.
Like, if you out certainty them, they will listen to you.
Yeah.
But if Aldo was in a position, maybe, how old's Aldo? How long's he been doing this?
He's
for?
like 24, 23 probably.
Sounds about right. Because you're just trying to be like, as much as you are certain as a real estate professional, when you're that young, I was 24 once in this business, you want to take as much business as you can. You don't want to upset anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to upset anybody, which is fair. But there's a point when you know your worth and you know that your advice is actually helping them, and it's not helping them to let them do whatever they want. And this is the way I'll compare it, just to put it into regular terms for any just regular viewers out there, is like, if you have kids or a dog, do you let them do whatever they want?
No. Well,
So
I try not to.
Yeah. And why do you not
Depends
let them?
on how long my day's been at work.
It's fair.
Cookies
It's very fair.
Go ahead, kiddo.
But yeah, right.
No, the point is,
Let the door open, let them out for a run. But yeah, like, you don't let your kid do whatever they want. You don't let them go run in the streets. You don't let them eat crappy food. You don't let them hang out with other kids who are just nuisances. And why is that? I mean, Rory, you're a dad. Why do you?
Because I know it'll be good for them in the long run, and I don't want them to be an asshole.
Correct.
Yeah.
Two very important things.
Yes.
The second
try
part,
to raise good kids.
The second part is like, okay, but the first part's necessary, I think, So point being, if we can just translate this back into clients, right? You don't want them to do whatever they want. You really do want to coach them, consult them, and train them towards the right outcome that they're looking for. And that's what professionals do, man. And I try to be as upfront and honest, and I get everything out in the open. And we talked about this earlier. Like, we always talk about the pros and everything. I always find a way to bring up the cons. Like, hey, this is a risk. Put some context involved in why you're suggesting it, because you don't want to be at the table in 3-4 weeks with a lender who doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
or not at the table.
Right. And then you have a $5,000 deposit down, $10,000, in some cases $50,000, depending on your price point, that's at risk. So me being an asshole right now,
Yeah.
is really, it's because I love you.
Yeah.
And like, I love you guys out there. Every buyer that I work with, every seller that I work with, we're pricing it here because I love you guys, not because I'm trying to fight you. Because trust me, at the end of the day, the more money I get everyone in their pocket, the best value I can get, whether you're on the buy or sell side. Value is indiscretionable. You know what value is when it comes. That only comes from hard coaching. It's not going to come from, do whatever you want and let me know how it goes and I'll be here hoping that everything goes smoothly.
Yeah.
No.
What are you getting paid for at that point?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not just, you're not getting paid to take people out the houses. It's for your expertise, your advice, your connections, your all.
Yeah. But
all those things.
And this also touches like on one of our very first points. It's like, what is what separates a great realtor from an okay realtor? It's like this stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Being a coach, being an advisor, helping them through the contract, helping them get the most value, being there for them, like guiding them to the right lender, helping them, just having that network of people and these connections and taking that extra step. That's what makes you a very good realtor and not an average realtor, And
Correct.
it's like those people do 90% of the business, and it might be 10%. We always say this. It's like 90% of the business is done by 10% of the realtors, and it's like those 10%. This is what they do. This is how they get business.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do everything you just said, hit the nail on the head. And I think with this new upcoming NAR settlement, I'm really looking forward to seeing how people articulate their value as a real estate agent, knowing that there is no guaranteed commission anymore, which, by the way, it's always been negotiable. We all know that as mortgage and real estate professionals. But it's, it's really going to be interesting how many people just kind of give up because they're like, I can't just open doors anymore and get a 2.5% commission.
And there's already been an attrition over the past couple of years. So it's like the people who are hanging on by a thread.
Correct.
Yeah.
And last year, there's a stat. I don't know if you guys know the stat. How many agents sold more than 2 homes last year?
Oh, it's got to be low. Or it's got to be pretty low.
50% of agents only sold 1 home last year, or less, or none. 50%.
Like I said, most people are not doing really any business at all.
Correct. And some of those people that have their license are in that category when really they're part-time. They're probably doing other jobs.
Yeah.
So it's skewed in some way, but I think it just sheds a little bit of light on, like, dude, the people that are really doing business right now are the ones that are coaching, consulting, and training their clients.
For sure.
And not being the nice dad, because we know what that gets their kids. They're all assholes at one point. They're getting kicked out of their high school classes because of that stuff down the line.
For sure.
A lot of dentistry bills with all those cookies for dinner.
Yeah.
Bite you in the ass down the line.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So before the break that we took, I started leading you into something that you wanted to bring up. So definitely. I'll let you take it away.
Definitely. I appreciate that. So we have a Hunters podcast coming up. It's going to be called Real Talk with the Hunters. We are a commercial real estate firm that sources land development deals. We source commercial deals, stabilized, unstabilized, value add, you name it. If you're looking to build, if you're looking to park your money in a place where it's going to make you money, that's what we do. That's our goal. And this podcast is just going to be like this. We're going to have the Hunters team, which is right now, I think we're at 7 agents in our,
cool.
Yeah. And you look at a lot of commercial firms, it's been done so barbaric for so long, where Doug, we're just call this old 60-year-old commercial broker, Doug, gets a deal and tries to double side the deal every single time and doesn't share the LOI, why am I drawing a blank? The OM, the offering memorandum, with anyone else because he wants to double side that deal. And typically Doug has great connections because he's going golfing with these guys every week, but is that truly serving their client? No. What we aim to do is really be a collaborative commercial brokerage. We are willing to cooperate way more than Doug. And when I say Doug, we know. Yeah. When we say Doug, and if there's a Doug watching, I'm sorry. I don't mean to use your name. But that's just the old school way that we're trying to get away from in commercial. And with it being so anemic, like I mentioned earlier, like 80% down on large multifamily sales, like this is the time for a breath of fresh air. We don't look at ourselves like a big commercial firm. We're the SEAL Team 6 of commercial real estate.
Nice.
We are specific. We are experts. We are going to hit the nail on the head. We're not going to miss it by a quarter inch either way. We're very specific and targeted and precise in our approach. So if you want to work with someone who is that way, we're going to start this podcast to create those relationships and have a breath of fresh air for the commercial real estate industry, which has been long overdue.
Hell yeah, dude.
Cool. And then with the seven agents that you guys have, who's going to be running the podcast? Is it going to be kind of a round table, or are you guys kind of subbing in and out?
Yours truly.
Hey,
I love that.
I'll be running it with the CEO of the Hunters commercial team, Nick Gigante, who's been in the business for over 13 years now. And he's actually my mentor. He's the guy that I've looked up to for so long. And to sit next to him and do this it's amazing because he has so many, like, talk about relationships, relationship capital. He's been in the business to that point where he knows every, top broker, top developer, top contractor. So we're going to be able to get a really good mix of attorneys on who have done land development deals, zoning attorneys, divorce attorneys. Like, what are they seeing? Because divorce rates are high, properties, like, everything needs to be kind of brought to light and in a fun way, like you guys are doing. I love the setup you guys have here, and this is great experience for me. And I'm going to take it for real.
Sure.
I'm going to take it fully into this real talk with the hunters on Thursday. We're going to air. So
Cool.
Awesome, man.
Right on.
Congrats, brother.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
appreciate you guys.
Keep us posted.
I will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be sharing that on here, so all the people on our gram will see it.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
for
And
sure.
I hope I can do the same on my page.
Yeah, definitely. We'll hook it all up. That's what, after I kind of cut everything up, I'll send you clips. I'll be like, yo, these look good, and we'll throw them up and be good to go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Forward to it.
You got anything else you want to touch on really, or?
No, did you talk about wins at all?
Well, yeah, I let him know. About
Okay,
a win.
cool.
He said he was excited to share a win because I'm glad he said that. I don't have one. Do you have one?
I mean, I can always,
I gotta
fly
think
by the
of
seat
one,
my
yeah, so-
pants with a win.
Yeah.
There's got to be one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's one there. So you want to go first, man?
No, I'll let you guys go first.
All right,
Just
all
chill. I don't
right.
wanna
Rory,
steer
go
you
ahead.
thin.
No, I mean, there's
Think of
always,
one, Mike. Think of one in the meantime.
Now you talk about value add in our business. It's not just, hey, opening doors, things like that. I had something like that this weekend where I was on vacation with my family. We were down the shore. There was a bunch of us, and we were looking forward to it. But
What part of the shore? If you don't mind asking?
Brigantine.
Okay. Yeah. I have
We
friend
got a
in
house
Brigantine.
there. So it'll be our first summer there. We got it in November, but so we're
Congratulations.
just kind of there, periodic weekends, cleaning it up, fixing it up, trying to have fun, and in the midst of all that. But it's definitely a lot of a job and not 100% fun all the time. But it will be come summer. Memorial Day's coming up. But it just you're always on the weekends, nights, weekends. It is what it is, no matter what else you're doing. So. Friday night till like 9:30 at night, I was working on 3 different deals. Deals going in had to be in by 9:30, had to be in by 9, which is bananas. That on Friday night, like the deadline's 9 o'clock.
Shows you how the market is right
But
now.
talking with listing agents, talking with buyers agents, talking with my buyers, all throughout the night, and we were talking about it off air prior, but. Waiving appraisals and what that means to mortgage insurance. And, you may not need to come up with the additional down payment if,
Right.
appraisal comes in short, and just kind of educating in that way and making people feel comfortable with those deals that they're stretching for in their eyes. So just able to be a value add where, if someone's working for Bank of America or with Bank of America or Citibank, then you're just not catching them at 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
Nope.
And then again, a couple things on Saturday. So just having a busy weekend is, as much as that is stressful, it feels good to be busy and
sure.
be able to have that value add on the off hours
No,
when
certainly.
it means something. So
For sure.
we still haven't heard back whether those got accepted or not.
I was going to say, any good
Doing
news?
all that work on Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday, and now I'm just like twiddling my thumbs waiting for it. So hopefully a couple, fall. So
That's the business in a nutshell, though.
Oh, for
give
sure.
Everything
Yeah. Hurry
you
up and
possibly, right? You give everything you possibly have, and at the end of the day, you can't be too attached to the outcome. You just know
Yeah.
you did everything you could, and I think that's a huge win, man. You're focused on the process. You're not focused on results.
and it will. Let's say all 3 of those clients don't get the properties. They will. in a
Yeah.
week, a month,
Amen.
Yeah.
6 months,
Amen.
3 months, whatever.
sure.
Like it'll happen.
That's
but-
actually my win. That's my win. I was
What's
just
your
thinking about it. That lady that wrote us the Google review the other day,
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like, I saw the Google review pop up. I'm like, oh, what happened? So I look and I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, it was
Is
a
this
great.
good?
No, it was, I mean, we great review. It was awesome to see it, but I totally forgot about this until we were talking about our wins. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I had settled on a property with a client that I spoke to over a year ago. And I'd ran her credit. I was like, hey, look, you're really not like where it needs to be right now to get qualified. I was like, but if you do X, Y, and Z, we keep working on this. I was like, in a couple months, you'll be good to go. So then she follows up with me in like March, I think, end of February or early March. She follows up. She's like, hey, look, I'm going to get pre-qualified. I've been working on my credit. I took your advice. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, what? So I ran her credit, and she did. I mean, her credit was so much better. She had some money in savings. And, 30 days later, we closed on a home.
That's
Amen,
awesome.
man.
That was the ones that
Congratulations.
really, even if it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
$100,000 loan out there, like
Yeah,
that
it's
was worth
killer.
it. Yeah.
So
100%. Talk about truly serving people, man. That's how you do
yeah,
it. That
yeah,
is-
definitely. And it was like a cool feeling. It's like, I was actually pretty busy on Sunday this weekend, and last weekend we were like fielding calls from agents, but it's like those long ones that you totally honestly like even forget about, and then you hear from them and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on?
You
They're
must
like,
have done
Right.
something right a year ago.
Yeah,
to make her
yeah.
want to call you.
so
a
it
year
was
later.
cool.
You're
It was
almost like,
cool.
thank you, past Mike.
Yeah,
for being
yeah,
such
for sure.
a good dude.
Thank you,
For sure.
24-year-old Mike.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks, 24-year-old Mike. Yeah,
Dude,
that's so funny.
That's the inflection point right there.
Yeah, for sure.
You look back and you're like, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing it the right way. And talk about like just focus on the process, man. Focus on the process. The results will just organically, naturally.
I mean, that is
come.
the reason we do these wins, because it's such an up and down roller coaster, and there's a lot of downs, and oftentimes the downs are 3 weeks out of the month, and then all of a sudden you have a really solid week. You're like, oh, thank God, you know, and like I can feel good about being in this industry for one more month. You know? So that's why we try and every week focus on a win. You know, find a nugget, because you gotta remind yourself.
100%.
So what's your nugget here, Martino?
Yeah, so many people would just think on the negatives. That's so true. You have to find the positives and everything.
Well, this forces us to. Even if we don't have one at the beginning of the podcast, we're like, oh yeah, okay.
We're like, we got to think of something. I think like one of my wins was like scoring a try at rugby. I was like, I scored this weekend. Like,
work-life balance.
It picks your life up just that much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, man, my win was the one I was excited about sharing was so I've been like kind of trying to crack into the suburban land development stuff. Like I said, my goal is to source development deals, and it's not always to get equity, but it's just to source land development deals. So I've been really trying to crack the suburbs now for probably a year and a half, 2 years, since I realized that building in Philly is a little bit saturated right now. There's a lot of units coming, and there's not enough absorption in Philadelphia to make sense of the numbers. And I'm going to say this quote, and everyone is going to nod their head who's listening, who's in the development space or the investor space: deals don't pencil anymore in the city. Sometimes they do if you come across the right deal and you have the right crew and you have just enough cash. But if you're just another guy looking to do something and you're just an average Joe, deals do not pencil. So my win was to find a deal that actually penciled.
Okay, solid.
In the suburbs in Paoli, in the Tri-Defin Township area, which is one of the best school districts in, I'd say, like the Westchester Paoli area. So to finally find and put under contract a deal with multiple offers on it was a massive win. I was also in Denver traveling. We talked about traveling earlier.
Yep.
So it's currently, I'm not gonna say the price, but it's my biggest deal to date this year.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. And I was away enjoying time with my girlfriend at a convention, but still like to finally feel like I'm at that point where I can not be in the city, but still do really great work was like a huge breath of fresh air for me because like you said, you spin your wheels for a year and a half and not one deal pencils. And then the one deal, and don't get me wrong, we're under contract. We're not closed yet. Right? And that's another thing about this business is you got to stay on top of your shit. And that's why you have people behind you, good support systems. Like you and Rory seem like you have great chemistry, Mike. Tom downstairs is an absolute beauty. So like, if you don't have that, truly, what else are you in this business? And
no, for sure. I wouldn't be. I say this all the time.
It's weekly.
I probably say this weekly. If I was not in this office, I would have stopped being a loan officer probably 2 years ago. I mean, like there is no shot I would be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for Tom and Rory and everybody downstairs, Courtney, all of them. Because like it drives you nuts sometimes, man. Like you spin your wheels for 2 years and you're like, what am I fucking doing wrong? And then all of a sudden, just it hits like that, and it's just you feel crazy. Sometimes I was saying this to Rory. Sometimes I'm like, do you ever feel crazy doing this? I was like, do you feel like psychotic? Because I the definition of crazy is like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I'm like, we do the same thing over and over again. Like you meet with the realtors, you do this, you do that, and you see nothing. And then all of a sudden it just happens. And it's like, yeah, we are kind of crazy to do this stuff. So
you're right. You're absolutely right. And we're good crazy. That's all I'll say to that. We're good crazy.
For sure.
But I totally agree. And I feel the same way about the people I'm surrounding myself with. And someone asked me 2 days ago, someone in my family, because they didn't see me for 3 years since like I got my sales license 4 years ago. And they were like, you seem like you're living such a good life. What's going on? Like, how are you? And I was like, I just surround myself with people that are better than me.
Yeah.
That was my only answer.
Nice.
I'm really not living a better life. I'm just surrounding myself with the right people who are getting me to where I want to go.
Nice.
So that's as simple as it gets.
Perfect, dude. Hell
and
yeah.
You're doing the same, Mike, and you are doing the same. And you're raising a pretty awesome family from what I hear.
We're trying.
You're trying, baby.
But just the people you surround yourself with, like, we have a very unique office where we're very tight knit. A lot, like some of us are literally related, family, friend. Like, we all have each other's back. And like, he's a couple years in, I'm a couple years further than him. There's a guy in our office a couple years further than me. Tom's like, you know, the GOAT, but he's been, you know, in it even further. It's like, and it helps when you're like, yeah, I remember when I was in year 6. Like,
just hearing that.
Yeah, it's gonna get better. I promise you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing the right things because you don't know if you're doing the right things. You think you are, but so it's
never know.
Success leaves clues. I always say that.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
We were doing quotes for a little bit.
We were doing quotes. Yeah, that's a quote. There you go.
Success leaves clues.
They're perfect.
Quote it. Martino Giuseppe Picariello, the Irishman.
Yes. I love it.
Thank you guys, man.
On that note, sláinte.
Yeah, sláinte.
Yeah, whatever that is, dude. Hell yeah.
That's Irish for cheers. How do I know more Irish than Italian? Maybe I am. Shit.
Insane.